Diwali is right here, almost here, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the auspicious time to not just buy a house, but to paint your house, deep clean your house, but to also refurbish your house. And as we've seen in the last couple of years, Urban Ladder, Pepper Fry have all been the vogue. All of us too busy to go buy furniture, we look at it online. Having said that, this is perhaps the worst time for one of India's largest furniture commerce companies, Urban Ladder, to get into trouble. Urban Ladder seems to have been in the news for all kinds of wrong reasons in the last couple of days. Whether it is the exit and the resignation of one of India's most respected venture capitalists, Vani Kola of Kalari Capital, or one of the co-founders calling it quits. So what's really going on? Why are we seeing these exits? Remember, all of this at a time when Urban Ladder had been trying to get investors to onboard, trying to raise funds. We'd also read all those news stories about layoffs, corrections, and all of that. Why do you want to listen to us? Hear it out from the co-founder himself, Ashish Goel. He's also the Chief Executive Officer. Speaking to my colleague, Rahul Dayama, Urban Ladder breaking its silence right here on Startup Central.
Spate of developments at Urban Ladder over the course of the last year or so has put the focus back on the company. The startup had to take some tough decisions, even while it is now really looking at some top-level exits. And to sort of discuss this, decode, and the road ahead, I have with me Ashish, the co-founder of Urban Ladder. Ashish, what is your side of the story? So much has really transpired over the last 1 year. We've seen, the co-founder Rajiv sort of decide to move on. Vani Kola, a very seasoned investor who was on the board, has also decided to, quit. Of course, you'll have Kalari sort of nominate someone to the board. The sense really is, and the speculation is, that things are not really good, so to say, at Urban Ladder, the developments.
Got it. Yeah. Can I solve this?
No.
Yeah. See the way I would say it, Rajiv transitioning out is absolutely a loss, and I would also say it's as much of a emotional thing for me. But at the same time, we are fundamentally at Urban Ladder, we are here to build a high quality customer proposition, right? And our commitment to building that proposition is absolute. Okay. Now, in case of Rajiv, obviously, Rajiv and I had planned his transition for him to do something new, exciting. It is a long period in a startup journey and an entrepreneur's journey, and Rajiv has done some absolutely fabulous work. And I will sort of be with him on whatever phase of his journey. So I think structurally where we are as an organization, if you ask me, Rajiv continues to involve at a strategic level and to shape the culture of the organization. Structurally, we are in the strongest position we have been in years. Strongest from a financial position standpoint, right? Now, how do we define financial position? In the last, everybody knows this. We have spoken about this 8 months back, and it was not in June, it was in February. Some media have reported it factually incorrectly. In the February time frame, we did a reset on our cost structure, and it was a required reset. If you ask me, I think I would actually say that if at all there is a lesson or a learning I would share, I think many startups, many entrepreneurs need to look at their cost structures.
Ashish, you're saying all of this has been a well-calibrated approach, but the things that have really developed, the exodus of the top leadership we're discussing, the CEO also moved on really earlier in the year. You also had the restructuring of employees, close to 30% of your employees. How tough was it really to take that decision? And that sort of does indicate that you're in a tough spot, probably the toughest spot that you have been in the startup journey of over the last 7-8 years.
See, I would say that we were definitely in a tough spot in the February timeframe. From there on, the progress that we have made, today we are sitting in a position where we practically have cash in the bank, which is good for us forever, for the next, let's say, 2.5 years, right? That's the actual position. Okay, that's one. Second, in terms of the management, yes, I mean, I've already spoken about it. Rajiv's loss is definitely important for the organization, but he'll continue to play an engaged role. That being said, Rajiv has also done a fantastic job of grooming the next set of leaders, right? We have very strong leaders. The Rajiv obviously was the CTPO, the Chief Technology and Product Officer for the last few years, and there we already have a very strong leader who Rajiv has spent a lot of time grooming, and who's a pedigreed, high quality professional. Now, so if you ask me from a leadership bench strength standpoint, we are in a position which is significantly better than we have been in most times of our journey.
Got it. Now, while you're saying that you have enough money in the bank for the next 2.5 years, there was a time, at least last year, that Urban, the startup was really looking to raise some funds. What really went wrong? Because you've been on this hibernation over the last few years, raised massive amounts of funding, and the funding crunch seems to have impacted you, right? It's a direct impact hit that you've had, and you've had to sort of look at other ways to really stabilize the business.
That question I will answer sometime in the future as a postscript. Some of these questions have very interesting stories behind them. Better spoken about over drinks or as a book written many years from now, not today.
All right. So you're saying that are you indicating that now are you still out in the market to raise funds? The sense that I get from your answer is that probably things did not work out when you really wanted them to while you were in the market. Really.
Right now we are not in the market to raise capital because right now our focus is very straightforward. We believe there is a lot more work for us to do to really improve our customer proposition. I think we are doing a great job on the service side. I think we can definitely do better on product availability. We continuously see a lot of stock out, which you could arguably say is a good thing because customers are loving the product more than you're able to supply it. But I think it's not good beyond a point, right? It hurts the business. Third, the other thing that we are really investing now, and actually, right after this, I'm just going back in that meeting, where we are saying, we will, and I would really urge everybody to keep a watch on us to see what is the amazing set of new products that we launch. Absolutely fabulous work going on. I think over the next 6-9 months, we should see pretty much the most exciting slew of product launches that Urban Ladder has ever had.
Got it. No, while you're really being optimistic about how things will pan out going ahead, and since you've put in place some systems, what would you really tell employees, vendors, customers of Urban Ladder who've been around? Because at a time like this, we've known well-known startups go on a funding spree, be around, and then go burst. Would you want to send out a message that Urban Ladder is here to stay a year down the line, 2 years down the line?
I think most of our team members, our vendors, whether they like it or not, they have to interact with me. So they know me enough to know that we are here to stay. We are here to stay, and it's not just a 1 year, 2 year journey. We are here to stay, and I don't say it that lightly. We are here to stay for the next 20-25 years. Okay, and we will do what it takes to not just stay for the next 20-25 years, but over the next 25 years, we will create one of India's most loved companies and brands, and that's our commitment.
That's a focus.
That's our commitment. A brand which is loved for good consumer work, a brand which is loved for doing things the right way, integrity, honesty, governance, and businesses go through ups and downs. There are lots of things that are variables at play. I think at the end, what matters is the commitment and the integrity that the people who shape that organization bring to it.
Got it.
And I'm super proud of our team, our suppliers, our customers. So I think we are here to stay.
You're sort of sending out that message. But of course, there is no success without failure. You were in the tough spot. You're in the tough spot. What really has been the biggest learning for you as an entrepreneur, really, through the course of all the challenges that you've had to navigate and will navigate in the coming months?
See, I think one part is, if I just, and it sounds very obvious and simple. Unfortunately, more often than not, most companies, not just us, most companies of our ilk, startups, I don't think a clear enough view of what is the right cost structure to work with is being taken. I also think, the high amounts of funding where multiple competitors in the same space get funded, everybody gets burnt, everybody gets hurt, right? I will not say anything about my competition directly, but fact is that when we started in 2012, there were 4, or if I remember, 5 companies around the same time frame who started, and all I know all those entrepreneurs. Some of them are good friends. All of them are good people, right?
So you're indicating it's also a problem of too much of money flooding the ecosystem and impacting players across the board. The need for customers, the fact that there's a lot more discounting with the number of players there, and the options really there.
See, think about it. I mean, and these are friends, so I think I can speak for them. Vikram and Mehul, who now run Cast24, are high quality guys, right? They were there. They're still here. They are entrepreneurs, right? And I know Vikram since a very long time, and a lot of respect for him, right? What happened, right? Then of course another friend, somebody who's senior to me and I respect him a lot, Jawad at Zansar. Great guy, fine taste, set out to build a high quality business. We should ask the question, right? And the question is less of Jawad, because Jawad I know. The question we have to all ask is about the context, right? Yes, of course it's easy to say that yes, the startup, risk, reward, most people don't survive. The question we need to ask ourselves as an ecosystem is, how do we make it better, right? How do we learn, and what do we learn from the mistakes of the past?
And that's a very conscious, that's an ongoing journey really, being an entrepreneur. Is there also pressure from investors for an exit, considering it's been a long time? You've been vocal about larger plans of an IPO, hitting profitability. Do all those plans stay in due course now, considering the current circumstances that you are? Yes, your losses have sort of come down. How are things really looking forward to, and the pressure from investors really?
Right. See, I think by and large, our investors believe in Urban Ladder. Okay, so I would say, our investors, financial investors, and would they require an exit at some point of time? Yes. I mean, that's sort of there's nothing to beat around the bush on a topic like that. Are we committed to making sure that they get an exit and sort of it's a fruitful exit for them? Yes, we are committed to that. Are we working together with sort of joint horizons around that? Yes. And I think we'll see, we'll take it as it comes, but I don't think anybody is jumping ship or something like that, right? I mean, I think people believe that these guys will create a good outcome. Now, as far as the profitability side, see,
are the targets still on, or are you sort of
Yeah. So we are absolutely clear that next year, and it will take a lot of doing, lot of effort, but we will not let the 20 crore EBITDA goal for next year slip.
That's something that
FY21. I think we have it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but I think it is possible for us to get to a 20 crore kind of mark on the EBITDA side, and once we get there, we trigger the IPO process.
What really has gone into making this transition, this tough journey over the last 1 year? 1 or 2 things that you've consciously done, really, apart from having to cut costs and look at the market really in a different way?
I think, and it's a part of the organization building journey. I think having a high quality team of believers, I think, is the single biggest determinant of success. And that's the one thing, if you ask me, among everything else, and that believers is your team members, it's your board members, it's your suppliers, it's your partners. You know, I mean, I have actually bunch of fabulous stories to share, you know, whether of people who, you know, in the toughest of times turned, you know, one call from me turned and said, you know what, we believe in you, don't worry about it, right? Whether it is and I can take some names, nothing wrong about it. Whether it's Stellar, Anshuman Singh at Stellar, whether it is some of our suppliers in Jodhpur, Gaurav from Basant, you know, bunch of people, Ashir in Bombay, bunch of people, our team members, our board members, whether it is Deepak, whether it is Ishan, all of them sort of, you know, really said, you know, we are believers and let's make it happen together.